Next, I'd like to introduce Nathan. So Nathan began his career in theatre in 2006, toured nationally and internationally with a variety of dance theatre productions. He has worked within disability arts for over 15 years and was appointed the artistic director of the 2017 Special Olympics opening ceremony. For the last 5 years, Nathan has been investigating the unlikely link between hip-hop and visual impairment and has developed the Rationale method of audio description, which utilizes sound effects as a beatboxer. Sound effects a beatboxer to provide a richer soundscape to visually impaired audiences. Big round of applause to Nathan, please.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Y'all feeling good? Yeah? Come on, wake it up. Y'all feeling good? Yeah. We're gonna need a sound check in here. When I say make some, you say noise. Make some. Noise. Make some. Noise. When I say children's, you say conference. Children. Conference. Children. Conference. With the media in the middle. Oh. Okay, so yeah. So my name's Nathan, and I guess the best way to describe what I do these days is I'm an accessibility innovator. Now, when you think of hip-hop and visual impairment, you don't really seem to put them in the same sentence. Hardly ever, really. But the more my company investigated into this phenomenon, the more an unlikely link seemed to emerge. And it started when we worked with the Partially Sighted Society of Doncaster. And we asked them, why is it that a lot of people with visual impairment don't go to the theatre or don't go to the cinema and things? And they said to us, well, it's because we can't see the action. So I was like, okay, so what do you guys need to be able to see the action? And I was like, well, we need movement to change dynamic quite abruptly, you know, from like wide to narrow, from high to low, quite quick. I was like, okay, yeah. Then I started thinking, well, breakdancing does that, or b-boying as the correct term is known, but so do a lot of other art forms. And then they said a lot of people with visual impairment, obviously it depends on the visual impairment, but a lot of them see better when they look down towards the floor. And I got to think, well, where does most breakdancing happen? On the floor. And then we started to work with a visually impaired playwright called Kate O'Reilly. And Kate, she sees in 2D, so everything's like a flat picture to her. But she said when she watched my company breakdance live, she got an experience of what it's like seeing 3D. And she never had that with any other art form before. She said, for example, when she watched ballet or contemporary, it was nice, but it was just like that of a flat, pretty picture. So based on this, I'm now partnered with a neuroscientist at the University of York, and next year we're going to be doing fMRI scans on people with visual impairment for when they watch ballet, contemporary and breakdance, but also just in terms of just general movements. Because what we want these findings to do is to inform like directors, producers, choreographers on a national, international scale of, okay, what is accessible movement that you can put into your, for example, children's television outputs, you know, when you're choreographing movement and things. Another thing, what we discovered was they said that a lot of people that have visual impairment don't really engage that much with conventional audio description. Because I don't know if you guys have heard conventional audio description, it can be quite, well, it's supposed to be neutral, but it can be quite like the dancer lifts their arm, turns their head to the side. It can be quite like mundane and boring. So this was pretty worrying, seeing as there's, what, over 2 billion people in this country right now that are visually impaired, and that number by 2050 is going to rise to over 4 million people, so it's on the increase. And so if there's an access provision that is there, but a lot of those people aren't taking up on that access, something needs to be done about that. So again, what I did was I asked them, well, why is this? And they was like, well, we just don't really find it engaging enough. So then I got to thinking, okay, so what can I do in terms of looking into hip-hop to make it more accessible? And then I started thinking, okay, well, what are the most audible forms of hip-hop? You have rap, and you have beatboxing. And then so I decided to do some research to look into how beatboxing can give a richer soundscape to people with visual impairment. And basically it works a bit like, you know, like Foley sound effects with a film and things. But it's for actual like physical human movement as opposed to, you know, a car sound. So if you have, for example, a children's television program and there's a car that's audio described, you'd obviously have the sound of a car. But what would you have for physical movement? You know, what would you have for a human being moving? And this is where the beatboxing sound effects come in. So we use human sounds to describe human movement. Okay. Okay, and so for example, it might be Timmy slices the air with his hands. And within doing that, you get an idea of the speed, angle, and trajectory of the movement. And the other great thing about that is, with audio description, it's linear. So whether we like it or not, you can only describe a certain amount of movement in a short space of time. That's why a lot of audio description is really fast, you can't really understand what's happening. Yeah. So, but with the sound effects that beatbox can provide, you can eradicate that because you can have things happening in real time, and this opens up a lot of opportunities for live, for live broadcasting. So, for example, if you have a children's program that's happening that's live, you can have something that can be audio described in real time. Yeah. So, also with this, what makes our methodology unique is we created our own language. I guess a bit similar to like Lava notation. And how we did that was we got people with vision impairment and a lot of children with vision impairment to actually physicalize each sound effect the beatboxer makes. And so by doing this, if you have the majority of people all say, okay, so what does this sound like? And if the majority of people say, well, that's a jump, then, or they're all jumping, then that's always the sound effect we use to describe a jump. If the majority of people are saying, okay, it's a spin, then that will be the sound effect we always use for a spin. So what we've done was develop, I guess, an intuitive language for like young people with visual impairment to be able to tap into it, very early age with minimal work and effort needed for them in order to enhance accessibility. So in terms of that, what we've also done is, using this methodology, we've also used it to create, to help choreograph movement. So for example, when I work with a lot of people with visual impairment, again, apparently there's no visual impaired breakdancers. Who'd have thought, right? So I was like, okay, well, if there's no visual impaired breakers, we're going to make some. But the reason for me doing that could not be just because I wanted to have some people who can't see breakdance in a show. I was like, okay, so what's breaking done for me? So I was like, okay, well, it's improved my spatial awareness, and it's been a great means of injury prevention for me. And a lot of people with visual impairment, they fall and get injured. What's breaking? It's just falling with style. Yeah. So what we've done is we've got we teach people how to sustain their momentum when they're falling, rather than literally just stopping it dead. Because when you stop a movement dead, that's when all the force jolts into that part of your body, and that's where the injuries occur. But if you can curve your body, learn to dissipate the momentum through your movement, then the injuries are much less likely to occur and happen. And we piloted this about 3 years ago with a bunch of kids. And from doing this, within 2 sessions, we had kids upside down doing handstands, doing front somersaults into foam pits and things. And some of those kids went on to do curtain raisers for the actual productions, and some of them went on to be fully integrated into the mainstream breakdance classes that were happening. And the sighted kids didn't realise that those kids were visually impaired based on their movement. So in terms of social change, that was massive. And so what my company have done is we've now rolled this out on like a national level. We're going to be working with the Royal Opera House later on this year, in conjunction with their Monday Moves class, where they teach ballet to people with visual impairment. So we're going to be teaching the elements of hip-hop and breaking to people with visual impairment. The great thing about this is it works for all ages. So even like from small kids right up to like I teach a group in Ipswich, Unseen Suffolk, and their average age is 55 years old. And I teach them the basics of breaking. But I use the methodology of audio description in order to do that. And so, for example, when I can show them, I might say to them, okay, you go to slide to such, and I go. So they now have an idea how long they need to slide for and when it needs to stop. And within doing this, it's really improved their movement quality and understanding and communication of, okay, so that's the physical movement that we have to do for now. So it's a great means of communication. So I guess what I'm really saying to you guys is find innovative ways, to literally think outside of the box. A lot of you may be thinking, okay, well, maybe budget may be an issue. It's not. There's a lot of people that are willing to work with you guys from its inception. If you can work from the inception of something and have access at the forefront of that, it makes for a much more accessible production and enjoyable production for everybody, not just for somebody who has a disability. So yeah, it's super important also to remember that audio description and any form of access is just as important as the actors, just as important as the set design, just as important as the director, because it's a part of the production. So it makes no sense to bring that in right at the very end, because if you do that, you're not giving the audio description a chance to breathe. And the problem you get is people talking really, really fast in between text. And you would think, what was that? I didn't quite understand what was said. So but if you talk with developers right from the beginning, then you can think about, okay, well, in terms of access, maybe I need to leave a little bit of a longer pause here to get the movement described here, or we can talk about different aesthetics. So my company, one of our elements is we specialise in beatboxing for audio description, but we also specialise in subjective text, and another service we offer is poetic text. And because what we feel is everybody's different, so we should have choice, we should have variety. With access, it's not a case of one shoe fits all. So somebody, for example, may like to listen to conventional audio description. That's fine. Somebody may like to listen to beatboxing content. That's fine. Somebody may like to listen to poetic content or whatever other content it is. It's fine. But it'd be great to give people the choice to just flick through. Like, for example, if they're watching one program, they could flick through option 1 being conventional audio description, option 2 being the Rationale method, option 5 being Timmy's method, whoever's method. It'd be great just to give people that variety and choice, and you'll find that people's imaginations will get stimulated in much more richer ways. Thank you.